Hello everyone, today we have new video review, and as you can see this time we are going to talk about fresh release from ICM, and it comes in 1/48 scale. It's quite an interesting kit because it copies OV-10A Bronco, but this time we get US Navy markings. So it might be an interesting build for all fans of this unusual aircraft. And of course we have a commercial sample here, so it means you will get exactly the same stuff as what you'll see in this video review. Kit number is 48304. And the box size is as big as the previous versions of this kit, so here you can see comparison with my hand. We also have really impressive box art here, and again I will repeat that it would be cool that ICM would start to produce these images actually as posters, but for now we do not get such pleasure. And here on the side you will find some information about the real aircraft and also about the kit itself. So we have 242 parts which should assemble into a model with 254 millimeters wingspan, which is not that huge for a 1/48 scale aircraft model. And here on the opposite side you can see 4 marking options. So ICM recently started to show all the markings included on the side of the box, and this is a really cool thing because it actually gives you an idea on what to expect and what you will be able to copy with help of the standard decals. Obviously nobody stops you from getting the aftermarket, but we will talk about it a bit later. So the box packaging is typical for this brand. We have box sealed with a sticky tape, and what I'm doing now is cutting them through, and then we'll remove this top cover in order to check what is actually supplied in this nice box. So just give me a second. Okay, let's open this cover printed section. Just give me a moment, I will do it off the camera because it looks like we've got a tight fit on this one and you can hear it maybe even. So what I'm talking about is this flexible top section which does not provide any protection at all, but what provides the protection is white cardboard box. So if I open it, here we have the top flap and we have plastic parts in several bags, and we will check them one by one. Obviously we will start with the top bag and then we will gradually continue to add the parts which are included here. So the original or the initial release of this kit proved that this kit is one of the, I would say, best options if you would like to build this Bronco aircraft. And the main idea was that we have really small parts count here and a lot of pre-molded features, what actually simplifies the assembly process and makes it easier to focus on more important things, such as maybe camouflage painting or some other fine features of this aircraft. So here we have the first gray plastic sprue. As you can see, we have one of the wing parts. Also here we have wing panels. We also have some landing gear parts. External features feature or include the recess panel lines and rivets. So here you can see that everything looks really good, and let's not forget that this is a 1/48 scale aircraft. That's why it would be worth to play with some weathering on these features. And if I flip over this part here, you can see some guiding elements. So this will be also handy because of the unusual aircraft design, and some parts really need the proper alignment. So that's why it's good to see that ICM actually thought through the design of this kit and we have necessary guiding elements included. Next we continue with the fuselage halves. So they look unusual as well. Note that one of them is molded together with a PVD tube, so you will have to be, or P-tot tube, so you will have to be careful while trying to assemble everything together, not to break it off. Also we have the lower panel of the fuselage molded separately. It's due to the boxy design or boxy silhouette of this aircraft. We have such box or parts design. Here you continue with the one-piece propeller. Obviously this is a twin-engine aircraft, that's why we have another propeller here. We have separate pylons. Here we have the combing panel and the instrument panel, and also we have some of the cockpit parts here. So for the cockpit, I would say that what we get here out of the box, it looks more or less fine, but if you would like to have a proper features, I would rather recommend to invest into aftermarket PE. Edward already produces some sets and they will considerably improve the appearance of your aircraft, so definitely check them out. And also here I just flipped over the sprue. You can see we have some minor features included inside the cockpit area. We have also guiding pins, which is also important for this fuselage due to the unusual parts division, so that's why I appreciate again that all these guiding elements are coming out of the box. So for the tail booms, as you remember, we have two tail booms from each side, or tail fins if you prefer. So here we have the same external features as what we saw on the fuselage and wing parts. Each of these parts or these sections will have to be glued out of two halves. So if I flip it over, again we have some guiding elements here, and we have more parts here. So these are two other halves. And the lower section of these elements is actually molded separately, so it comes on this frame, and it actually hints that you can avoid unnecessary seams and gaps if you assemble everything together in a proper way, because this parts design or separation actually copies the actual panel lines on the real aircraft. Now I'm opening another plastic bag. Do you remember we had two of them? So let's remove these parts off the table. Okay, so here we have another large plastic sprue. This one is dedicated to the external fuel tank and also some cockpit parts. As far as you can see, the molding quality here is really nice, even though some parts are really thin. So with some of them you will have to be extra careful in order not to break them. Maybe for the landing gear parts I would recommend to check the actual photos of the real aircraft, because maybe you can add some piping there and brake lines and some other fine details which are not obviously supplied out of the box. But all in all, I like what I see here. We also have the separate wing mechanization, by the way, and the fuel tank here. You can see that we have the guiding elements again, so there is nothing to be worried about. Next we continue with two identical plastic frames. So this is a twin engine, no wonder in this, and I will show you only one, because here we have the parts for engine gondolas, and also we have landing gear parts, so it includes the landing gear wheels. Again, if you are able to invest more into your build, I would rather suggest doing so, because the resin wheels will be noticeable on this aircraft, and of course it will add some fine features, because as you can see, these standard out-of-the-box wheels look rather simple, but again it depends what weathering you will be replicating. I guess with the US Navy it will be a bit difficult to apply a lot of weathering, but who knows. And here you can see also some parts will have, some wing mechanization parts will have to be glued out of several sections. So again, be careful and pay attention to the assembly manual in order to get the right fitment. What I also liked about previous releases and also this one is that we have this pair of the frames where we get the external armament, or let's say external equipment, which is really handy because you will be able to choose the loadout scheme you would like to see on your aircraft, and all of this stuff comes as a standard inclusion, so you don't have to pay extra, and obviously some of these things will go into your spare parts box, so maybe handy for some other projects as well. Now I'm opening another plastic bag. So this one is dedicated to the clear frame, and here we have Canopy Parts. So just give me a second to remove this one. Okay, so here we have Canopy Parts. As you can see, these ones are looking rather good, and this is a 1/48 scale kit, so as you can see, all parts are clear and crisp, and usually ICM supplies the masking template, which is rather handy in order to cover such complex parts. And of course you can also get the aftermarket masks, which are produced by Edward, and they will give you even better precision and save you some time, because you won't have to cut everything by yourself. But even the templates is really cool addition to the standard package. Next we continue with the decals. So here I will have to close the lenses a bit. So there are two decal sheets. Here is the first one together with the stencils and various markings on the fuselage. Obviously some of them, for example these red lines, they may be copied with the masks. It's up to you whether you will be brave enough to do so. And next we continue with the bigger decal sheet. So this one is dedicated to the main symbols. Here we also have a nice printing quality. We also have some decals for the cockpit. Unfortunately, there are no seat belts. So for the seat belts, you have to resort to the aftermarket releases. But other than that, I like ICM decals. I did not have any issues with them, so I think this one will not be an exclusion from the rule. And next we continue with the assembly manual. So here we will have to zoom out, close the lenses a bit, and check this large brochure. So it is printed in color, as you can see. We have short history note and also technical specifications with the colors chart. We also have the parts map here. And this is rather surprising that we do not have red color here. It means that all parts will be used in this build, so be careful and try not to lose anything in this. And assembly process starts with the pilot seat, then we continue with the cockpit. So as you remember, this is a double-seater, so you have to assemble 2 pilot seats, and that's why I was saying that it's actually worth investing into the aftermarket P, because you will be able to add some parts on the dashboard or instrument panel, also on the seats, such as seat belts, and all of this stuff will be visible even with the closed canopy. So here we are joining the 2 fuselage halves together. Note that the canopy framings are molded separately, by the way. Next we continue with the lower fuselage panel. We install also wing roots, which are separate, as you can see here. Rather interesting design, I would say. Next we continue with the nose landing gear and wheel. Also here we have 2 options for the first marking of this aircraft, so be sure to decide in advance what you would like to copy, because it will define the parts choice, as you can see. Next we continue with the wing. So as I said, we have the separate wing mechanization here, and that's really cool because it might be handy for some projects where you have to, show all these parts in a retracted position. I'm just a bit confused because here it is shown in a closed position, but obviously just a slight modification to the steps will allow you to retract the flaps. So next we continue with the wing installation on the fuselage. We also install the windscreen, and here we continue with main landing gear legs, canopy parts. Note that canopy is not even offered to be opened, so here you have to, let's say, use your own sources in order to copy the properly opened canopy, if we can put it this way. And next we continue with the tail booms. So each one is assembled separately. As you can see, we also have the separate rudder here, and then all this stuff gets connected with the fuselage wing assembly. We also have some choices for the wing accessories. Antennas get installed on the separate step. Here we have landing gear wheels. Next we continue with the pylons, and all of this looks rather nice. Next, here we have a lot of external armament being assembled. We also have the armament guide. Note that each of the markings has actually the separate loadout. I would say it this way, so pay attention in order to have the proper loadout. And here we have also the masking template. As I said, it's really useful thing for the canopy marking. Next we continue with the first marking option from 1980 or 69. Here we continue with another one from 1971 and one more from 1971, finished in this traditional navy blue. And here's another one in a green orange. So this one is quite interesting, and it comes from 1980s. So 4 marking options, as you remember, and all of this is included out of the box. But as I said, you can also resort to the aftermarket options because there are plenty available. So this kit should be also available for purchase. Of course, I will be happy to hear your opinion about such release. Do not forget to write it here in the comment section below. If you like this video, press the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye.